glassy sky above. As long as I'm alive, you will be part of me.
Welcome back, everybody, to Refle's anime reviews and discussions. I am Refle, and well, last time I think last time was top 5 animes of the spring, or not spring, summer 2015. But this time, we're doing kind of like a two-parter for a show, because I did season 1 of a show all the way back. I think it was my second episode of this series, and it's Tokyo Ghoul season 2. And like I said, I did season 1 a while ago. I think it's like 11 episodes ago. So if you want to watch that before this, then head over to that and watch it. I think it's like my second longest video in a series, because I was still kind of getting used to talking about shows. So it's a little bit long, but hopefully it helps out. But I'll be discussing season 2. So yeah, let's get to it. So just to kind of wrap up what happened at the end of season 1. So I will say there's going to be spoilers for season 1, obviously. And I'm going to try to avoid as many spoilers as I can for season 2. But I want to go a little bit more in-depth than usual. But yeah, so at the end of season 1, Kaneki is tortured, and he like goes through just all of his stuff, and he finally kind of embraces his ghoul side, and he becomes like a badass. And yeah, he fights Jason to end season 1, and it's a really cool fight. So season 2 begins right after that, and yeah, Kaneki manages to escape, and the whole raid from CCG on the headquarters, I think the whole place explodes, or like crumbles to pieces, and instead of heading back to Enteku with everybody else, Kaneki decides to join Aogiri, which is like kind of the big, I guess you would consider them the bad guys of the ghouls, but it's kind of like a gray point, because CCG could be considered bad guys also. Just kind of depends on the person and whose side you're on. But I think Aogiri is considered but the bad guys compared to some, like the group like Enteku. But he joins them, and and that's the end of like the first episode of season 2, and you're kind of wondering why would he do it. And throughout the season, you kind of figure out why he's doing it. And yeah, so season 2 opens up with like a whole bunch of changes have happened since the end of season 1, and things are a lot different in season 2. The mood of season 2 is much more like depressing, and there's a lot more just sadness in the air. Like season 1 was depressing at times, and it was dark. But there's a lot of like still cheerful moments. Season 2, there really isn't many. It's just depressing and sad. Like everybody's kind of just doesn't know what to do after Kaneki leaves and all the other stuff that's going on in season 2. And then, and for the most part, season 2 doesn't really focus much on Kaneki. I mean, he's still like the main focus, for the most part, because he is the main character. But it kind of expands its amount of characters, and you learn a lot more about people from CCG, and Teku and Aogiri. So it definitely broadens out the characters in season 2, and you kind of know more about some of the characters you already knew about, like Mato from CCG. You learn a little bit more about him. Not Mato. That's not his name. That's another person. What? I need to check this out. Because I think there's Mato's the last name for somebody else, right? Yeah, Amon. Mato's the last name of someone, or not? It's the first name. I don't know. Amon, you get to know a lot more about him. You get to know more about, I guess, Toka, and you get to know a lot more about Yoshimura. He's a pretty big focus, and you kind of get some backstory into him, and he's a big point in season 2. But season 2, I would say there's something. It's a little bit weird. It's a weird season, because I would consider the first like 5 episodes to be. We're just like, something just feels off. The pacing is just, I think it's really just something. The pacing wasn't good. It just jumps around too much. You're not sure what's happening, and part of that's due to you not knowing why Kaneki joins up with Irigiri. But part of it's just like they jump around too much, and like I said, I think the pacing's just weird. Like everything's just happening too. We're just jumping too much stuff. You don't know what's happening. It's just too much. And I think it slows down. I think about around like part 6 or episode 6 or 7, and then I think it hits its pace right at that point, and the rest of the season just slows down. It's easier to follow. And I think that's where season 2 really kind of jumps off. Well, season 1, it kind of just went right from the beginning of episode 1. It was all just good from there, and it got better. Season 2, I think there's some rough parts. I wouldn't consider any of the first 5 episodes or whatever to be bad. I mean, episode 1 I think is really good in season 2. But the other ones, I'm just, like I said, the pacing's weird. We're not bad episodes by any means, but it doesn't live up to standards of the first season by any means. But after that, episode 6 through 12, whatever, how many there is, I think it's really good. Some of those episodes I would consider to be some of the best in the show. So it's a very inconsistent like season. But there's tons of little like side stories that accompany kind of Kaneki's reason for joining Aogiri, and for the most part, like his Kaneki's main story for this season, like is kind of, at some point it kind of doesn't become the main story. It's like a side story compared to some of the other stories. Or I mean, there's tons of like stuff with CCG that's kind of like there's some story there, and you definitely get to know a lot more about CCG people, which I think it's really good because it kind of gives you both sides. Well, season 1, you really just got a lot more from the point of view of the ghouls, and you only got like point of views from 2 of the CCG characters, Amon and Mado. But season 2, you get a lot. You get introduced to a lot more of CCG characters. Commission of Counter Ghoul. That's not a great title for them, but whatever. And then also Unteku characters and everything. And a few who aren't. Yeah, I guess some characters in season 1 are definitely changed quite a bit from season 2. And some of them you don't expect to be where they are, so. But the end of season 2 I think the last few episodes are really really good. Because some big things happen and it changes everything basically. I'll say this: the ending of season 2, it leaves a lot of questions that have yet to be answered. Like if you have a whole bunch of questions going into the ending of season 2, they're not gonna be answered for the most part. Some things will be answered, but for the most part, you get more questions than answers, and you gain a lot more questions after the end of season 2. Because some characters die in season 2. Some characters you think might be dead. Some characters do things you wouldn't expect. And yeah, just basically like there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air and you don't know what happened. And I think that's why season 2 I think is just, it doesn't feel as good as season 1 in my opinion. I think it's just a slight tick below season 1. I still think it's really really good. I think it's just because like I just didn't have the amount of answers that I wanted to what happened. But yeah, it definitely ends on I wouldn't consider the ending bad, but I just wish they would answer more stuff because it's completely up in the air. But yeah, it was still good. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 for season 2. I think I gave season 1 either 4.5 or 5 out of 5 when I was doing out of 5 scores. I don't remember. I should have probably have looked that up or went back and checked. But season 1 I think is just slightly better. Maybe because it's just more new, or to me it was just the first time I had experience at World or whatever. But season 2 feels like that's how you speak English, people. I just felt like there's some inconsistencies with pacing in the first half, but in some of the, I don't know, just some other aspects, like the actual, there's not much action. Or actually, I guess there's more action in season 1, but I feel like the animation was downgraded a bit for season 2, which is kind of sad because I thought season 1 had really good animation. And the music completely changes between season 1 and season 2. Season 2, it's a lot more somber and depressing and sad. Well, which it makes sense because that's the tone of season 2. Yeah. So season 2 of Tokyo Ghoul. It's still really good. Still highly recommend you watch this series. It's one of my favorites. I mean, at this point, I would consider it one of my favorite animes I've watched. So, I really love the world. I can't wait for more. From what I've heard, season 3 is going to happen. There's rumors it's supposed to be coming out this summer, or it's supposed to be a summer 2015 anime. That didn't happen. I don't think it's gonna be fall because we're doing Tokyo Ghoul Jack this fall, and I think it's an OVA, so I don't think it's a full season. So maybe winter 2015, and I'd be completely down for that because I need my answers to these questions. I just need more. But yeah, if you can watch it, this show, go ahead, watch it. Definitely worth your time. Yeah, that should wrap it up. So, I will probably be back at some point with season 3, or for season 3 review. Actually, I will be, because that's how much I like this show. But anyways, next week, I don't know what I'll be doing, because I guess I basically made this weekly. Yeah, I don't know. But feel free to suggest shows to watch in the comments below. Like somebody suggested that I watch No Game No Life, and I did a review of it, and I liked the show quite a bit. I'm glad they suggested it. So if you want me to watch something, just let me know in the comments. If you want to discuss something about season 2, just put spoilers on it, and then we can discuss. There's tons of stuff I would love to kind of discuss with somebody about season 2, because there's some stuff that's interesting to say the least. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.